If you're looking for that Goosebumps fix this Halloween, you may just find it in Nightbooks on Netflix today. We're going to talk about it. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Nightbooks just dropped on Netflix. I need your thoughts down below, and if you like this video, let me know. Let's get into it. So, when Alex, a boy obsessed with scary books, is trapped by an evil witch, he must tell a scary story every night to stay alive, so he teams up with another prisoner named Yasmin, and they have to find a way to escape. And so young Alex is transported to this weird-looking apartment. There's no way out. He meets this young girl. She's been trapped there for a while, and thus comes in the witch, played by Krysten Ritter, who at first was really over the top, and I'm thinking, okay, I hope this performance is at least up to the standards that we know from her. But what she does is she provides a very impressive antagonist, especially when you look at it from the perspective of a young kid watching this movie, and again, experiencing something like Goosebumps when they may have never seen Goosebumps before. That's what this movie does, and her performance is almost the catalyst for that. Again, I didn't know what to expect going into this. I honestly did not expect much, but what I got was a movie that really appeals towards its target audience, even though sometimes it does go a bit overboard with the scares. I imagine myself watching this as a young kid and seeing all of the imagery I'm seeing on screen. And it's definitely one that I wish I could have watched at that age. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this review. It works so well in terrifying, maybe even a little bit too much at times, that young audience. But that's exactly what you want from this kind of movie. Just make sure you're there watching it with them, because it could be a bit scary. But when you're looking at that imagery, just walking into this giant, grandiose apartment for the first time, seeing that pie sitting there, you know you're in for something a little bit claustrophobic, but at the same time, interesting. And story criticisms aside, and we'll get into that, I love the idea of this young man having to write a new story every single day, or, and this is where the stakes get a bit higher than anticipated, he's going to die. This witch is going to take him out, and you don't know how real that is until the first time that he messes up on that story. You can't say anything positive towards the end, and she lifts him up into the air, and you automatically know, okay, even though this is a movie for families and younger kids, the stakes are higher than anticipated. So I like that, and the establishment of that. And then you get into the visuals of it all, the set pieces, the background, not only that, right, but the actual detail within that, the practical effects. And even though all of the CGI doesn't work, I love the concept of giving us as many practical scares as possible, and seeing how every room varies from each other, and just the look of this movie, the vibrant colors, and then you get into the darkness and the contrast of those things. And then you look at the contrast of the actual story points. Every now and then there's a hint of optimism, but then you get back into, well, we're trapped, we can't go anywhere. And approaching that from the viewpoint of the target audience, a young kid, they're going to watch this and be scared and feel fear. And I like that. I really do. So I thought they did a wonderful job. But again, that darkness, like I said, more intense than anticipated. And there are some moments in the final act where I will admit some kids may be absolutely terrified, but just the idea of them going for it. But I want to get into the relationship between our main character and Yasmin. Yasmin is a friendly character at the beginning, but you're approaching it from the standpoint that she's been there for a while and she knows exactly what is happening. Because she's been there and done that, there's a relationship that is more up and down than anticipated, and you don't know whether or not to trust her on everything, right? So that relationship is there. It provides our protagonist someone to work with, but how in the world are they going to get out of this situation? And then you get into Krysten Ritter's character, and okay, what is it about her that makes me want to know more? And I believe we could have learned more about her character. We get some story points towards the end that do open up those ideas, but it's not like we needed to know everything. All we needed was this crazy cackling witch that has no tolerance for what she doesn't want in her stories. Speaking upon those stories, and I know I already talked about the set design and the backgrounds, but I love the idea of every time he tells a story, we get a visual representation, well, maybe not every time, but most of the times, we get a visual representation of that story. And again, this comes down to the visuals of the film, something that I didn't really anticipate working all that well. They look great, they feel great, there's a nice sense of atmosphere there, and again, those stakes are so high at points, you understand that our young characters, well, they really are trapped, and even when they start to figure out puzzle pieces of how they're going to escape these situations, the story still feels like it's working against them, and that's exactly what you want. You also get some nice callbacks. The Lost Boys, anyone? And you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've seen the film. You also have to have some things that appeal to families here and there, and it's that time of year where every family wants to watch a movie like this together, right? For me growing up, it was the Goosebumps books, but it was also something like A Halloween Town. That's cheesy and silly, and maybe the story doesn't entirely work, but when it hits you in that nice nostalgic spot, it's going to work for you, and I believe this movie's going to do it. In terms of criticisms, I mean, it's pretty obvious, it's pretty evident that we've seen movies like this before, and they don't do really anything different to switch things up and make it feel like this fresh spin on a family genre. There is a bit of a sense of humor there. It doesn't entirely work. Some of the little quirky elements kind of made me wince. And again, Krysten Ritter, she ends up being a fantastic character, and she's so over the top, but in a good way. I didn't really know how to feel about her at first. Okay. I also kind of predicted, as most people will, where the story is going to go, so I don't think the screenplay is really all that special, and the predictability does kind of shoot it down at a point. But again, approaching this from seeing this for the first time as someone young or just a family watching it together, it was a nice surprise, and that's why I have to say Nightbooks is kind of a win at the end of the day for Netflix. So before I give you guys my score, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Leave your thumbs up if you enjoyed this review. Even if it may be a bit familiar, Nightbooks will capture the hearts of young viewers. Ritter owns this role, and the scares do enough to satisfy fans of darker family films. My score is a 62%. I'm going fresh with this, guys. I believe Nightbooks, if you're in that Halloween mood, that was weird. You guys may want to be watching this on Netflix, but just know what kind of movie that you're in for, and I'm sure you're in for a surprise. You're truly the best. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys big time, and I'll be seeing you soon.